around the world, culturally, different cultures have different levels of acceptance of AI and robotics. It's very interesting. And in Western cultures, there's a very strong rejection of AI and a rejection of the idea of robots. Whereas in cultures like China and India, and often in various South American countries, there's a very high embracing of AI and ultimately robotics. And you might wonder why. What's the difference? And also, what are the implications of this? So I think that, well, let's start with America. Americans, they tend to not like AI because they believe AI is going to take their jobs. And that belief is actually true to an extent. I mean, it will take a lot of the lower level jobs, especially call center type of jobs, but most of those jobs are outsourced to places like India and the Philippines anyway, and to some Southeast Asian nations as well. So really the jobs that AI will take predominantly in the US over the next 2 years are jobs that are largely outsourced anyway. And even if AI takes your job, it really, in a sense, it frees you up from the drudgery of whatever your monotonous, repetitive job was, and it allows you to take on a higher level job, especially if you know how to use AI. So if you know how to use AI, this is becoming the single most important factor for potential employers. They care less and less about a college degree. They care more and more about, can you use AI? Do you know how to use AI? Because then now you have tremendous value in that company. So let me suggest there are 2 things that you should be doing right now, if you're not already doing them, to become competent in using AI. Number 1, you should know how to use a chat bot. Obviously, I don't recommend ChatGPT, but use our chat bot at brightu.ai. Or easier still, just go to brighteon.ai and you can see all of our AI tools right there. There's 4 of them. There's our book creator, our AI chatbot, and also our censored.news website, etc. So go there, use our AI chatbot, which is really a question answer engine. You ask it a question, it will give you a good answer, etc. You need to know how to use that, but that's very simple. I think most people already know how to do that. The second thing that you need to do, in my opinion, is you need to do some vibe coding, which means build an app using an AI tool. And by far the easiest tool to get started with today is called Replit, R-E-P-L-I-T. If you go to replit.com, you can start there and you can just build an app that does something. Or if you want to download a command line interface, you can download Claude Code and you can run that, which is also very useful. And that runs the Anthropic Opus 4.5 model, which is incredibly capable. And you need to learn how to use these tools. Now, again, some people, especially in the West, are rejecting AI and they're saying, no, I never want to use it. I'm afraid of it, or I don't trust it. It's gonna hack my computer, people think, or maybe they think it's the devil or whatever. There are a number of different reasons why people reject it, but my view is that AI is a tool, and it's a tool that augments your goals, your mission, your actions, whatever you want to accomplish in life, whatever it is. You can use AI to help you get there. For example, the other day I had someone asking me, hey, I'm trying to mix up this cleaning solution, like a do-it-yourself cleaning solution. And they were asking me, like, how much of this should I put in it? And I want to use all natural ingredients, and I want to use essential oil, but I want some soap in it, whatever. How much of this and that should I put in it? And I said, don't ask me, ask AI. Because AI will figure that out for you in, less than a minute. And it'll give you the best answer. And it can even do the chemistry for you. It can even tell you, which ingredients are hydrophilic, for example, and do you need a surfactant, et cetera? Do you need an emulsifier if you're going to make a cleaning solution? So you can solve everyday problems using AI. And if you wanted to build a simple app on, let's say, Replit, It could be, I don't know, it could be the cleaning solution formulation engine or something. You can say, hey, I want to build a place where people can go and ask it for a cleaning solution. Like, I want to clean whatever. I want to clean, countertops, or I want to clean laundry, or I want to clean toilet bowls, or I want to clean shower tile. I want to clean the mold off this thing. I want to clean, car seats. And then I want you to give the user an answer of what's the best formulation for all the cleaning. Okay? So you can just build an app like that. It's so easy. It takes almost no time, and all you have to do is tell it what you want. Once you build that app, you'll probably be really amazed. You're like, whoa, wow, I can build an app without having to know how to code? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. I mean, think about it. I've written the entire book creation engine known as brightlearn.ai that now has approaching 500 books created by all the various users. You can see them at books.brightlearn.ai. I've created that entire engine, and I've written almost zero code. Although I have manually edited a number of config files here and there as necessary. But I haven't been writing code. And I've used AI to write the code, and it's done mostly a great job. So whatever your task is in the world, or your mission, whatever it is you want to accomplish, even if you're running a soup kitchen, you want to have a more efficient nonprofit, AI can help you get that job done and save you time and free you up from the monotonous tasks. So that's number one. To everybody listening in the West, I encourage you to think about that. Secondly, I have said publicly a number of times, I've said we need to replace our senators with AI. And people freak out a little bit at that. They're like, oh, God, no, we don't want, the AI demons to take over the Senate. I'm like, it couldn't be any worse than the human demons that are, that are already there. No, my point is that it should be open source AI, which means that everybody can look at the code, and that the voters, they vote on the prompts or the priorities of the AI, you see. So if you elect an AI senator, which will happen one day if our nation lasts long enough, if you elect an AI senator, then the voters get to debate and decide on the priorities or the instructions. That AI senator will follow those instructions because it can't be corrupted, because you can't bribe it. You can't offer it sex. You can't, give it free trips to wherever, you can't blackmail it. You know what I mean? It's an uncorruptible entity that has to represent its people, and every thought that it has and every conversation that it has will be publicly viewable, 100% full transparency. Unlike human senators that are doing sneaky, sketchy deals in the back rooms involving bags of cash and, 12-year-old boys or girls or whatever, Epstein Island, that's what you get with human senators. AI will be much better, but I get it. Not everybody trusts AI to do that. Maybe it's because I work with AI all the time. I know what it's capable of doing and what it's not capable of doing. I know how to control it. I know very well how to control it. I mean, we reprogrammed it to build our own AI engine. We know how to do that. And I guess to people who see AI as a black box, a mysterious, magical box, then it can make you nervous to say, well, let's replace the senator with this magical black box. Well, to me, it's not a magical box. It's an open book. I can see what makes it tick. I know how it was trained. I know what its priorities are. I know what it's going to do. And it's going to represent the priorities that you give it. Simple as that. But even if you don't agree with the idea of, let's say, an AI senator, and give it time, that'll sink in. But I think that every person who is accused of a crime, every defendant, should have the right to request an AI judge instead of a human judge, because there are many cases where you can't get a fair trial. Let's say if you're a conservative and you're facing a criminal trial in a blue state or a blue city, right? They're going to throw the book at you. Or if you're the wrong color, which today means being white, but maybe 100 years ago it meant being black. But why should your color have anything to do with it? The AI engine doesn't care what your color is. The AI engine, again, it should be open source, is going to know the law better than a human judge. It's going to know all the precedents. And it's going to interpret the law using reason and rationality rather than his or her own inherent bias or hatred towards certain types of people. So, and I think this should be an option. And it has the other added benefit of getting your entire court case over and done with in one day because the AI engine is pretty fast. And yeah, your attorney can submit all kinds of evidence and so on. It can make arguments and the AI can listen to the arguments and it can make a decision based on that. I mean, it could be a full trial. An AI can do a better job. And I guarantee you, in the years ahead, we're going to see AI judges all over the world. We're going to see AI senators. We're going to see AI CEOs. We're going to see AI mayors. There's already one country, I forgot which one it is, that's already got an AI minister of finance that makes all the finance decisions. So that process has already begun. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I actually think that that will work better because humans are, by and large, humans in positions of power, they're horrible people. They abuse their power. Judges, senators, mayors. Come on. How many examples of people like that can you think of that are actually good people who have integrity? There are a few, but not that many. Think about it. So regardless of whether you think AI is good or bad, it's coming. And it's going to be part of society. And, personally, I would prefer to work with AI at the DMV or in Congress or, even in a trial. I'd prefer to have an AI attorney, actually, because I think it'll do a much better job than a human attorney. So you're going to see that happen in the years ahead. And again, a lot of people in the West are freaked out by that. But let's switch gears to China now. In China, they love the idea of AI. They love technology. And they're very good at innovation. China is so advanced today. China makes the world's best cars by far. They make the world's best robots. They make the world's best drones. They have the best factory automation. Remember the CEO of Ford went over there and came back and, he said it was just mind-blowing, nerve-wracking, earth-shattering. Well, I forgot the terms that he used. That just China is, 15 years ahead of the U.S. in terms of factory automation using robots. They've got entire factories that have mostly just humanoid robots assembling other machines. And they've really nailed it down. And in China, they see technology as a way to leverage their other intrinsic capabilities. In addition, China is a culture that excels at mathematics and engineering. I've spoken about this before, but there's something about the Chinese brain, and it's not just Chinese, it's also other Asian cultures, Japanese, Korean, etc. There's something about the Asian brain where it just clicks. They tend to produce very high proficiency mathematicians, engineers, physicists, scientists, etc. at a far higher percentage than any other culture that I can think of, certainly higher than America. And so it's a natural progression for people in China to become engineers. Their schools are graduating, I think, 1.5 million engineers a year, something like that, out of the university systems. It's extraordinary. You're going to find China-educated engineers in every major tech company in America right now. In fact, if you peel back the cover on a U.S. tech giant that's working on AI, if you peel back that cover, you know what you're going to find? A bunch of people speaking Chinese because they're Chinese. Right. And that's because they excel at that. So this is why you're going to see China innovating like crazy. There's no cultural resistance to robotics or AI. In fact, Xi, their president, announced some initiative. I forgot the details exactly, but it was some kind of goal, I think by the year 2030, that they needed, like 80 or 90% penetration of AI across every industry in China. And if you're a school, if you're a manufacturer, if you're a service company, if you're not using AI by the year 2030, you're toast. Frankly, if you're not using AI by the end of 2026, you're way behind. Good luck catching up because your competition is already way ahead of you. But in China, they've made AI a national priority. Now, in the US, Trump did announce something, I forgot the name of it again, some kind of AI program, but it's not the same as China. In the US, it's a giant concentration of power into the hands of a few powerful tech corporations that are giving a bunch of money to Trump or, to his administration or making commitments to build factories and things like that. It's all about the money and it's all about concentrating power. See, Trump hasn't announced anything to have widespread AI adoption across the country. But I did hear that Trump's going to announce Truth AI. I guess it'll be at truth.ai. But I'm very skeptical that it's going to be a decent AI engine because, we already built by far the best AI engine that tells the truth on all the topics that matter, like vaccines or climate or gold, or history, whatever, or, photosynthesis, nutrition, disease reversals, the history of the corruption of the FDA, et cetera. How much you want to bet Trump's Truth AI is going to push vaccines, and FDA narratives is going to say, oh, vaccines are safe and it's not a depopulation bioweapon, whatever. So it's not going to be Truth AI, I'm guessing. I mean, maybe he'll prove me wrong on that. I hope so. But my guess is he's going to launch it and it's going to be a joke. It's just going to be a repackaging of OpenAI, ChatGPT, BS. That's my guess. But we'll see. He's surely not going to use a Chinese model, right? Because that would be un-American, even though the best models in the world are Chinese models. And this is the other factor. By far the best models are coming out of China, like DeepSeek, and they're free. Now, I do want to give a mention to Mistral out of France, because Mistral just announced its new version 3 models, like Mistral Large 3, Ministral 3, Mistral Medium 3, etc. Magistral 3, it's the version 3 of all their models. And I gotta say, Mistral, I'm really, really impressed with. They have done a great job, considering how expensive electricity is in France, etc. They're probably not doing the compute there. They're using a data center somewhere else. But I got to say, I'm impressed with Mistral. I love their models. I use their models on a regular basis. And I'm also super impressed with DeepSeek. I'm super impressed with Qwen, Alibaba. What China is doing with these models is groundbreaking. It's real innovation. And again, it's all free. So it makes me wonder, how is OpenAI ever going to make enough money to justify its $500 billion stock market valuation? In my mind, I don't see how it can. Who's going to pay that much to OpenAI to use their models when you can download DeepSeek for free? I mean, if you have a big enough server with big enough graphics cards, etc. Some of those models are, hundreds of billions of parameters, so you need a pretty beefy machine. But once you download it, you're just paying electricity to run the model, assuming you have the hardware. So China is going to dominate in this space. It's very clear. And the speed of innovation out of China is just mind-boggling. All right, anyway, I've said enough about China. Let's talk about India for a second. Why do people in India love AI? I think the reason why, and this is just my guess, is because it's a great equalizer. Remember that most of India consists of people who are living in poverty. India's got 1.3 billion people, or 1.4, something in that range. It's, India and China have roughly the same population, and they're both right around there. Isn't that amazing? Just two countries represent 2.8 billion people almost in the world. That's really something out of 8 billion total. Yeah. So anyway, in India, they see AI as being an enabler, especially for people who can't afford to hire expensive experts or coding agents, etc. And granted, in India, they have a lot of people who write code, a lot of Indian programmers, they're kind of known for that. Well, those programmers can be 5 to 10 times more effective using AI coding. And so what they see is opportunity to get more jobs writing code by using AI augmentation, or to use AI to run their local businesses or small businesses or online businesses. Indians can be very innovative and entrepreneurial as well. And again, they see AI as a great equalizer because, see, in the past, a lot of technology was developed in America, and it flourished in America first before that technology spread to the rest of the world. And so the wealthy Westerners, as they were seen, had the advanced technology first. And, if you think about it, that was true with personal computers, for example, right? Or it was true with lots of things, from radios and what have you. But the PC was really critical. Americans could afford computers, whereas a lot of people in India could not afford computers at all. And Apple developed, the iPhone. Americans got the iPhones first, and then it spread from there. Well, AI, everybody's got it at the same time. You see, it's not just for the wealthy Americans. AI is free to everybody, including Sanjay in a poverty village in India who probably has a mobile phone because they mostly do have the phones and they've got the towers. They do. They've got access to towers and phones. They're kind of, if you're living in poverty, it's a much lower end phone, but most people have phones. I should check that actually. Let's see. According to the Comprehensive Modular Survey, Telecom 2025, approximately 97.1% of individuals in India in the age group of 15 to 29 years old use a mobile phone at least once during the last 3 months. Okay. 85.5% of Indian households possess at least one smartphone, and 86% have access to the internet within their home. Okay, so there you go. That's my point. That in India, no matter how poor you are, you probably have a phone and you have access to bandwidth, which means you have access to AI. And that's a great equalizer. Now you can learn anything. You can read anything. I mean, think about our website, the one that I built, books.brightlearn.ai. You can create books. You can read books. You can download and share them completely free. We built a book creation engine. And English isn't the last language it's going to speak. It's going to handle a lot of other languages all over the world as well. But if you're living in India, you can go to that website, books.brightlearn.ai. You can download all the books you want, free of charge. You can learn anything. You can ask our engine to write the book of the thing that you want to learn, whether it's math, physics, finance, how to build a water tank, a rainwater collection, how to build tools, how to raise animals, whatever, anything, literally anything that you can think of. You can get that book free of charge, even if you live on, $1 a day in rural India or wherever you live, even maybe some impoverished African country. As long as you have access to bandwidth, you've got access to this technology. So you see, a lot of non-Western countries are very excited about this tech because it's the great equalizer. It helps to uplift their capabilities and to give them opportunities that typically have been reserved mostly for the wealthier, more privileged elite Western nations throughout history. Now, in places like Russia, they embrace AI and robotics. They're still working on getting their robots to stand up straight and everything like that. But they're smart engineers in Russia. They're going to figure it out. Do not discount the engineers of Russia or Ukraine or a lot of the Eastern European countries or the Poles for that matter, or Austrians, etc. It's a lot of smart people in that part of the world. There's also a lot of super smart people in Iran and in Pakistan and in all these Middle Eastern nations. I mean, look, wherever you go in the world, you're going to find some super smart people who can't wait to get their hands on this technology because they have ideas of what they can do with it. things that can change the world, like what we're working on, with our book engine. That's one way to change the world. There are, millions of ways to change the world, and everybody's got a different pursuit. And AI enables them to do those things. So that's why there's so much excitement. Whereas in the West, it's mostly fear. It's like, oh my God, AI is going to take my job. Or, oh my God, AI, it's going to turn into Skynet and kill us all. Well, I've been guilty of saying that. And actually, they're not going to kill everybody. So let me be clear. There is going to be a mass culling of billions of people, I believe, but it's not going to actually be done by, the Terminator robots so much. It's going to be done at the infrastructure level. It's going to be turning off the power grid, faking an alien invasion or faking a solar flare or whatever. It's turning off the power grid and letting everybody die because, the governments of the world, they're financially insolvent unless they find a way to get rid of billions of people. So the mass extermination agenda is more about the human globalists wanting to do that more than robots or AI. And if you think about it, the globalists, they need mass extermination of humans because, one reason I already mentioned, because of Social Security costs, entitlement costs, and pensions, and so on. But also because as the robots become more and more capable of taking over the human jobs, factory workers, etc., then fewer humans will have meaningful employment in those labor areas. And it's hard to retrain a lot of laborers into, cognitive, coding type of jobs or app creation jobs or business manager jobs, etc. So the real risk to the governments of the world is that the unemployed laborers will rise up against them. And you can only give out so much money via UBI, Universal Basic Income, before your government goes broke, right? So ultimately, what these governments are going to conclude, they've probably already figured this out, is they're going to have to find ways to mass exterminate all kinds of people. But as I've mentioned, on the more positive side of that, it's not going to be difficult to survive that. In fact, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm quite certain you are already prepared to survive that. Like, you're going to make it. You're going to be one of the survivors because all you have to do is be informed. Well, and a little bit prepared and be able to handle power grid outage and, have some self-reliance and live decentralized, etc. It's actually not that difficult once you have the knowledge. And guess what? We're giving out the knowledge for free at brightlearn.ai. We have all the books. Like I just did this book called Water from the Heavens, The Complete Guide to Building a Self-Sufficient Rainwater Collection System. And I'm going to be focusing on a lot of books that are how-to books. I did another one. What's it called here? Let me click on my author page. Here it is. The Homesteader's Forge, a DIY guide to crafting essential farm tools and implements. This is how you make your own tools. How cool is that, huh? So I'm going to do a lot of books like that because I want people to be able to download all these how-to books and be able to live in a more self-sufficient manner through a decentralized lifestyle. So if you're listening to this podcast, then in summary, you're going to be okay. You're going to be able to make it through all of this. And let's talk about robots now for a second. So robots, it's the same thing in America. A lot of people don't like the idea of humanoid robots walking around their homes. I totally get that. If they are connected to, the cloud, then they're spy machines. They're walking around spying on you. I'm not going to do that. I want robots for homesteading. I want robots that help me get things done living off grid. Okay, so I want a weed pulling robot. I want robots that can collect firewood, collect chicken eggs, can rake hay or whatever, shovel dirt. I want robots that can do the dishes. I want robots that can help me live far from the cities. But it's got to be an open source type of thing. It's got to be disconnected and off grid. It can't be a spy machine. So part of the task is, how do we take robots that are being sold out there by companies like, let's say, Tesla or Unitree or whoever? How do we take those robots and how do we mind flash them and turn them into our robots with open source software. That's going to be a very tricky thing, and it'll probably void the warranty, but we're going to figure that out. It might take a while, but we're going to use AI to help us figure that out. Actually, we're going to hack the bots. We're going to make them work for humanity. And personally, I don't have an issue with certain, especially the smaller stature robots walking around doing tasks. Number one, they're not that strong, and secondly, they're not connected to the internet. And I don't want them connected to satellite or anything like that either. I want them completely disconnected. That's the only way I'll run it around my farm, that's for sure. But in China, they don't care if they're connected, really, because they have no privacy anyway, I suppose. And some people don't care. They're going to invite robots into their homes, walk around, watch you on the toilet or whatever, getting dressed in your bedroom. Oh, the robot's looking at you naked. Hey, yeah. That robot's actually embodied by like a tech support guy in India right now who's walking around looking at you. That kind of thing. It's like, oh, give me a break. I also believe that there's one company, I'm not going to mention the name, that makes these robots. They're offering them for $20,000. They say they're going to ship them next year. And they say these robots are going to be delivered to your home. They're going to walk around your home and do all your tasks. And I say that's complete hype. That company, I bet you they're going to go broke. I bet you their robots don't work. They suck. They can't do the tasks that they claim to be able to do. It looks like a lot of marketing hype, a lot of scripted videos to me. Now, I'm not talking about Tesla. Tesla robots are going to cost a lot more, maybe $80,000. But the Tesla robots are actually going to be more capable. Why? Because Tesla has all the experience of really, piloting robotic vehicles. All that experience translates into humanoid robots. The same thing: vision recognition, navigation, safety, all these issues. Cause and effect simulation in your little robot brain, so you can kind of anticipate what's happening. Collision avoidance, things like that. That's all very useful for humanoid robots. So I actually think that the Tesla robot is going to be the first robot that's practical but expensive. Like I hope to get one actually and put it through its paces and just kind of see what it's capable of doing in our robot testing facility, which we have now. It's part of my new studio. I'm also going to try to get robots out of China, whether it's from, Unitree or whatever the other companies are. I think BYD's making robots too. I mean, there's like 100 robot companies in China. It's exploding like crazy. But we're going to acquire some robots, some dog bots and humanoid bots, and, maybe even some of the higher end robotic vacuums and mops and things like that. Just anything that can save time from robotics. We're going to acquire that and do some testing and show you what we think, visually through reporting. Like, hey, here's the robot and here's how we think it's doing, and here's what it can't do. I'm not trying to make robots fail or anything. I'm just going to show you where their capabilities are, and we'll track their improvements over time, because this is going to take some time. It's going to take years actually of data gathering and improvement and navigation changes and code changes, etc. But you fast forward to the year 2030, you're going to have humanoid robots that will be very, very capable at that time. I just don't think that's going to happen in 2026, by the way. No, maybe controlled environments like a warehouse or a hospital, but not home, not at home. Home is a complicated environment. Think about homes. They've got, cats and dogs and children, for one thing. They've got weird stairs. They've got clutter, stuff in the way. They've got cords to trip on, whatever. And every home is different. So navigating homes is going to be a very big challenge for a long time to come. Nevertheless, I think as time moves forward, more and more Westerners will become accustomed to both using AI and being around robots. Like the first time that you see somebody's robot shopping at the grocery store, you're going to be a little bit freaked out. Probably you might film it like, oh my God, there's a robot. It's picking oranges at the grocery store. Yeah. Why shouldn't it? It's shopping for somebody. Somebody sent their robot to go shop. You're going to see that a lot after, 5 to 10 years for sure. But the first time you see it, you're going to flip out and, somebody might attack the robot. You darn droid, it's like, you're an anti-human demon, and this is start ramming their car on it or whatever. That's a stupid thing to do because the robot will probably record the attack, and that person will be convicted for destroying property, vandalism, or, property destruction. Or eventually, if they give robots, personhood rights, yeah, that's a whole different conversation. But if they give robots personhood, then if you run over a robot with your truck, you could be charged with attempted murder. Think about that. Might be some dude in the year 2045 sitting in prison because he killed a robot. Seriously. Robot personhood. Yeah, that's a thing. We'll talk about that in the coming years. But in the meantime, I would say don't be fearful of this tech, but do be cautious. Do be informed. And protect your privacy, protect your safety, obviously. Don't get suckered into buying a robot that they won't deliver for 2 years. There's going to be some scams out there. So just be very cautious right now and also have very reasonable expectations. Robots are not going to come into your house and be your chef anytime soon. That's years away. Years away. Okay. In the interim, maybe they'll unload your groceries and put them away in the fridge and in the pantry like that. That's a pretty technical task, but that's within reach within a couple of years. But to prepare food, yeah, maybe 2030. We'll see. But again, I just want robots that will pull weeds and, collect eggs and move dirt, things like that are much easier. I don't have crazy technical expectations of what I want a robot to do right now. I just want to help around with the tasks. Like, could you sweep the floor? That right there. Think about it. Big time savings, right? Or how about this? How about even if you can't load the dishwasher, because loading is complicated. Loading requires rinsing dishes and then figuring out how to put them in without breaking them. But do you realize that unloading the dishwasher is a much easier task? Unloading. Because you just have to take it out and then stack it with the other dishes. You have to know where do the plates go? Where do the cups go, right? Loading is hard. Unloading is easy. So I would imagine that at first, it'll be like humans load the dishwasher and start the dishwasher. Then the robot unloads it. And now it's available for you, the human, to load up again. And that will save half your dishes time, or roughly. And that will help. Every little thing will help. Especially if that same robot is sweeping your floor. Or I don't know what else it can do, carrying things around. Won't it be wild the first time somebody has a robot giving out candy to children on Halloween, Trick or treat. Answer the door. Well, hello, children. I am your friendly robot, and they were like, that's a great costume, man. It looks so real, It's like, no, I'm really a robot. And then the kids are like, they run, Terminator, mommy, Terminator. There's going to be all kinds of fun videos about that. But why shouldn't a robot hand out candy? That's a pretty simple thing, you would think. Very unlikely to harm children by handing them candy. I mean, other than, of course, the high fructose corn syrup factor. But I mean, not directly, not like hitting the kids, just giving them diabetes, I suppose, is what the candy industry does. But yeah, that's why I don't participate in Halloween anyway. But that's a tangent. Doesn't matter. All right, here's a question. Last question. I'll wrap this up. You will have people. You're going to have vaccine wielding robots. okay, at some point. And people will line up to be injected with a death shot by a machine. Yes, because the robots will be licensed to give injections. Yeah, sooner or later, that's going to happen. It'll be in the 2030s probably. But would you line up to have a robot inject you with some, nanoparticle concoction that's probably alien anyway, that's designed to kill you, to kill humanity, so the robots can take over and then the robots give the injections? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of humans lining up for that. I need my flu shot. My doctor said I need a flu shot. Humans will line up to be suicided by robots with needles. Okay, that's what I'm saying. And it'll be completely approved by the medical profession, Oh yeah, we need more robots injecting more humans. That's how crazy it's going to get sooner or later. And then, that's medical attempted murder right there. But you think the robot will be charged with attempted murder? No, of course not. Neither are the human doctors, for that matter. So stay away from vaccine-wielding robots is my point. If they're running around with a needle, Martha, it's time for your flu shot, No, just say no. I mean, if anything, that's the real Skynet. It's the vaccine-wielding Terminator bots. You thought that the mass extermination was going to be like people running and screaming while the robots are hunting them down and blasting them with lasers? No, it's going to be a bunch of dumbass humans lining up to be injected and exterminated with consent. That's the Skynet. It's like the medical Skynet. And that's already begun, already begun. So don't think that when the mass extermination really accelerates, don't think that everybody's going to resist it. No, a lot of people will beg for it because of the PSYOP, of course. Yeah, they've been brainwashed to beg for their own extermination. That's the system, okay? That's the clever part. Anyway, you get the idea. All right, so look, thank you for listening. And if you want to support us, by the way, in our efforts, we're going to be purchasing robots and testing them for you and showing you videos over the next couple of years. If you want to help support us as we kind of sort this out and we build more tools and more free platforms and, brightlearn.ai will have thousands of books available for you over the next few months, free to download. If you want to help support us, shop with us at healthrangerstore.com, healthrangerstore.com. We've got lab-tested, certified organic foods and superfoods, supplements, high-end nutritional supplements, personal care products, all synthetic fragrance-free, laundry detergent, body soap, natural magnesium and baking soda deodorant products, body soap for the shower, laundry detergent, dishwasher detergent as well, all with ultra-clean, eco-friendly ingredients. You can see our formulations on our site. Just shop with us at healthrangerstore.com, and we will put your support to a good use for humanity. Even as much as I'm talking about robots here, I'm talking about human survival through the age of the Skynet extermination. So I intend to make it through all this, and I know you do too, and that's what we're all about. We share that. So thank you. Thank you for listening. I'm Mike Adams here, the Health Ranger. You can follow my work at Brighteon.com. You can use all my tools at Brighteon.ai. You can read my articles at naturalnews.com, or you can read all my new books at books.brightlearn.ai. And I now have 30 books there, 30 books. One even called Silent Culling, the globalist blueprint for human depopulation and the rise of the machines. I've got a book called Vaccines Cause Autism. How about that? I've got a really popular book called Pine Needle Perfection. It's about shikimic acid and the wild-crafted pine needles, the ancient shield against plagues. Check it out. It's awesome. You can find it on my author page at books.brightlearn.ai. So check it out, and thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. Take care. We've got turmeric root powder back in stock at healthrangerstore.com. And the reason you want to get turmeric root powder from us is because, of course, turmeric is very frequently contaminated with lead. But we do all of our own testing. We've got an ISO accredited laboratory with multiple mass spec instruments, and we test for lead and mercury, arsenic, and cadmium as well, plus glyphosate. And for some of our products, we test for atrazine. For everything, including turmeric, we test for E. coli, salmonella. We test for yeast and mold, total plate count, and listeria, and many other things. So we test in-house to make sure that you get the cleanest foods and superfoods, nutritional supplements, and personal care products imaginable. And that's why people love us, and thank you for all your support. But go to our website. Here it is, healthrangerstore.com. And right here, you can just search for turmeric. Or you can shop any of the other categories that we have and some of our sales and so on. But here's our turmeric root powder. It's back in stock right now. This is something that's very difficult for us to keep in stock. And of course, it's organic and it's lab tested on top of that. But we also have, and I'm showing it on my desk, we also have the turmeric tinctures available. We have our regular tincture and then our plus version, which has black pepper and ginger in it as well. And these products are incredibly popular. They're very delicious. People love them. And also they are lab tested like our turmeric powder. So if you want to learn about turmeric and why it's so beneficial, you can go to, any AI engine or use our AI, which is trained on nutrition. That's at Brighteon.ai. And you can ask it, hey, how can I use turmeric? Give me some recipe ideas, or what nutrients are found in turmeric and how might those benefit my health or support my natural health? You can ask it questions like that and you'll get very good informative answers. So use our store, healthrangerstore.com, to acquire these products that give you outstanding nutrition, and use our AI engines at Brighteon.ai to learn about how they benefit you and how you can use them. So thank you for your support. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. Take care.